Students, I am Dr. Swadesh Kumar Gupta. I am assistant professor at Department of Physics, DBS College, Kanpur. So in this video, I am starting a new lecture series on the paper which is in your M.Sc semester 4 as a elective paper, which is Physics of Liquid Crystals. So before starting this lecture, let's talk about liquid crystal a bit. The liquid crystal is everywhere around us. So we all are using LCD TVs in our home. We all have mobile phone in our hand. So all the time we are actually looking at liquid crystals, or exactly we can say that liquid crystal devices. So the paper introduced here, the physics of liquid crystals, is actually not only teaching you about the liquid crystals, but it will also teach you about how these liquid crystal devices works, what are the physics behind the liquid crystals, and also some chemistry. Other than that, you will also learn some optics, some part of the solid state physics, condensed matter physics, and some mathematical things also, like symmetries and how they work. So a lot of things are there in this paper to learn. And what is interesting with this paper is that you will be learning something which you always use every time, every day. Besides liquid crystal displays, there are other applications also, like switchable windows. More applications in optics are particle light modulators, beam steering, and one recent development and recent application which you might have been using is the LCD pad, which is coming very cheap in the market. That is also based on liquid crystals. So all these phenomena which liquid crystal shows is truly fascinating, and learning this paper will be a great journey. Now let's come to the part of the syllabus of this paper. So this is an elective paper in M.Sc semester 4. So this has 4 units. The first unit contains the classification of liquid crystals, which is which has historical outlook, like how the liquid crystals have been discovered and how they started being used and how they came to devices. All these will be covered in the historical outlook. Then the classification of liquid crystals. What is liquid crystal? What kind of liquid crystals are there? Polymorphism in liquid crystal. Then the optical textures, how they look like in the light, especially in the cross polarizers, under cross polarizers. Then the thermotropic liquid crystals, telematic liquid crystals. Then different phases of liquid crystal like pneumatic, smectic, chiral pneumatic phase, which is also called holistic phase. Then there will be a small review of discotic liquid crystals, bent core liquid crystals. Then there will be another kind of liquid crystal which is polymer liquid crystals, and they have different applications than LCD. Another is lyotropic liquid crystals. So this is also an interesting topic. The second unit covers the theory of liquid crystals and phase transitions. In that you will be studying the nature of phase transition, that how liquid crystal goes to different phases with temperature, and what are the critical phenomena in liquid crystals. Then there will be different models you will be studying, like hard particle models, Meyers's theory, van der Waals theories for isotropic to pneumatic and pneumatic to pneumatic A transition. Then in brief you will be learning about the Landau theory, their essential ingredients and its application to isotropic pneumatic. Then will be pneumatic pneumatic A to C transitions and other pneumatic transitions. Here one word is coming, isotropic. So I am briefly explaining you what is isotropic. So isotropic means something which has property same in every direction. So if direction changes, the property remains same. For example, liquids have same property in each direction. If you talk about the viscosity, surface tension, you go in any direction, both of them will remain same. So such kind of medium is called isotropic. Other things we will learn in the later part of the video, in this lecture and in other lectures also. The next unit is unit 3, which is based on the pneumatic liquid crystals. So these pneumatic liquid crystals are the simplest liquid crystals, and you will be studying about the elastic continuum theory, dielectric constant and refractive indices. Most of you have already learned about the dielectric material, dielectric constant, refractive indices in school and also at graduation level. So you should revisit those chapters when I will be talking about these terms when I will reach to unit 3. Then the flows and hydrodynamics and the alignment of liquid crystals. So here the alignment is a very important factor in the liquid crystal. Any device which is based on liquid crystal have some kind of alignment of liquid crystal molecules. So there are two alignment which are planar and homeotropic alignment, which you will be studying. Then the field induced director reorientation. It means that when you will apply electric field or magnetic field, how the molecules are orienting in the liquid crystal. Then the threshold voltage of switching, estimation of elastic constants. There are three types of elastic constants in liquid crystals, which are splay, twist and bend coefficients. Then the birefringence and order parameter. Birefringence you have also studied in graduation. In unit 4, we will talk about the application of liquid crystals. As I was earlier mentioning, that liquid crystals are used in display devices. So we will start with that, with the display applications. What is the principle, design and working of the LCD display? Then the pneumatic liquid crystal switches, 7-segment display, which you see in calculator. Some non-display applications like temperature sensor, sparkle light modulators, optical shutters, tunable photonic crystals and biomedical applications. So all these applications what liquid crystals show is not actually being shown by all by a single phase of liquid crystal. Different phases of liquid crystals are used for different applications. So that you will also study and learn in this paper. Now let's start with the very fundamental question, that what is liquid crystals. So as you can see in the figure, I have shown here crystal, liquid crystal and liquid, and in the arrows it is written heating, cooling. So crystals means where the molecules are arranged in a very ordered manner. As you can see here, the crystals, in crystal the molecules are packed in some fashion and are aligned in single direction. When you heat this crystal, then the alignment of these molecules start disturbing, and when you heat further, then it becomes liquid and the molecules get randomly oriented. So now the question again here is that what is liquid crystal? So to start with, I would say they are not quite liquid, not quite solid, but something in between. We all know the three common state of matter: solid, liquid and gas. But these liquid crystals are special. They exist in a intermediary state of crystal and liquid. In a solid, as I already mentioned, molecules are tightly packed and highly ordered. In liquid, molecules move freely and randomly. But in liquid crystals, molecules flow like a liquid while maintaining some level of order like a solid. So because of this, they possess both the properties of solids and properties of liquids, and this gives them amazing optical and electrical properties. The property of viscosity which liquid has is also possessed by the liquid crystals, and at the same time the elastic constant, which is not in liquid but is possessed by crystal, is also present in liquid crystals. Now there are different type of liquid crystals, but the most common used liquid crystals are pneumatic liquid crystals, schematic liquid crystals and cholesterol liquid crystals. And all these liquid crystals have different arrangement of molecules which leads them to different behavior and different application. Now let's come to the historical development of liquid crystals. So as I discussed before about the birefringence, which is the property of optically active solids which shows two refractive indices in two different directions. So the first observations of birefringence fluid, because usually the birefringence was only observed in crystals like quartz or calcite. So the first observation of birefringence fluid took place in around mid-80s, and it turned out that the myelin, so they took myelin from the nerve tissues, and which shows some curious birefringence liquid material, and many people studied these essentially using a microscope and polarized light, but it was still not a very curious thing at that time. In 1888, Friedrich Renninger, who was a Austrian botanist, he extracted the polystyrenic benzoate from the carrot in solid form, and when he heated it, he observed something very unusual. the material polystric benzoate melted at 145 degree and become a cloudy liquid. When he heated further, then at 179 degree, it become clear liquid. So we can say that it become isotropic. So now there were two melting points for the same substance, and this was the first time someone observed. But still it was not clear what it is. So he reported this puzzling behavior to Otto Lehmann. The Otto Lehmann was a German physicist. So when the Friedrich Renninger approached to him with polystric benzoate, then he observed this polystric benzoate using a polarizing microscope, and he observed that the polystric benzoate shows the fluidity like a liquid and optical anisotropy like a crystal when it was cloudy liquid. So he called this state as a flowing crystals. Later this become liquid crystals. Now after the recognition of the liquid crystal state, for more than 50 years, the research on liquid crystal and its properties was very slow, and any work on its molecular structure, phase formation, electric response was going on, but was in a very slow and steady speed. In 1922, George Friedel proposed the classification scheme using the words nematic, schematic, and cholesterol for different liquid crystal phases. In the same year, a German chemist, David Warlander. Now remember this, the Otto Lehmann was a German physicist and David Warlander is German chemist. In the same year, the German chemist David Warlander, for the first time, he observed different LC phases in single substance. Before David Warlander, these different liquid crystal states, which are, or you can say the liquid crystal phases, which are nematic, schematic, cholesterol, these were shown by different substances. But he found a substance which was showing more than one liquid crystal phase in a single substance. In 1960s and 1970s, Frederick Charles Frank, which is F.C. Frank here, and Wilhelm Meyer with Alfred Saub, W. Meyer here and Alfred Saub. They came with some theories that predicted the behavior of these phases, and therefore the realistic characteristics of the individual molecules can be realized. In 1967, James Ferguson discovered twisted nematic liquid crystal display, which is the first display, and produced first practical display. In 1972, the International Liquid Crystal Company, Elixco, which was owned by Ferguson, produced the first modern LCD watch. In early 70s, liquid crystal science saw revolutionary expansion just after the successful utilization of liquid crystal in watches and pocket calculators as a display devices. You must have remember that before the mobile phones or LCD TVs came into the market, the pocket calculators were already there and you must be using that. So that display was also based on the liquid crystal, and you can say also that that was LCD. Although it was the first commercialized liquid crystal display, the explosion in the discovery of liquid crystal phases began with the invention of liquid crystal displays in TVs and in monitors. If you see in the last 10 years, there has been a huge growth in the LCD market with improved quality and stability. So this was the historical outlook of the liquid crystal and its development with time. Again, let's talk about what is liquid crystal. So the liquid crystals are the condensed matters that exhibit intermediate thermodynamic phases between the crystalline solid and simple liquid state. These liquid crystals are also called mesophases. So the meso word here, this meso is derived from the Greek word which means intermediate or between. So that is why mesophages. The molecules in the liquid crystalline state are free to move around as in an isotropic liquid. However, they tend to orient in a preferred direction with one another and breaking the isotropy of the physical property of the system. As you can see here, that in liquid the molecules are randomly oriented, and so there is no uniqueness in any direction because everything is random. In crystal, the molecules are perfectly aligned in a single direction, while in liquid crystal they are not perfectly aligned to the same direction. So they have the order and they have some fluidity also, and that fluidity causes the molecules to orient along a single direction but not perfectly aligned to that direction. Now these LC molecules are normally constituted by aromatic ring attached with a aliphatic tail. Now what is aromatic ring? You all have studied about the benzene ring. So that benzene structure is called aromatic ring. So now if you will add anything to that benzene, making some another molecule, like let's say you add a methyl group to make it toluene, or you can make some chlorines to the benzene group to make it chlorobenzene, still it will be containing a aromatic ring here. So as you can see, there are two rings here in this molecule, and then there is a big tail which contains CH2 CH3 structure. So one is aromatic ring, and which provides the rigidity to the molecule. On the other hand, this aliphatic tail, which is free to move around, has more degree of freedom. This provides the fluidity to this molecule, and thus the molecule become a liquid crystal in a certain temperature range. Now coming to the classification of liquid crystals. So these liquid crystals can be monomeric or polymeric. Monomeric means that there is a single molecule which acts as a single molecule and is not directly attached to another molecule or not making any covalent bond with another molecule. But in the polymeric liquid crystal, the molecules try to make bonds with their neighbor molecules and thus make a big chain, and therefore it is called polymeric liquid crystals. These liquid crystals can be thermotropic or lyotropic. These thermotropic liquid crystals can be classified in different liquid crystals depending upon the structure of the molecules, which is like rod like, disc like, board like, banana like, and other. And then on the basis of the molecular arrangement, they can be divided into smectic, pneumatic, and others. In lyotropic, some molecules are mixed with the solvent and then those molecules get arranged in a fashion that it shows liquid crystalline phase. So as I was discussing, the thermotropic liquid crystal exhibits liquid crystalline phase either by heating or cooling and is temperature dependent. This thermotropic liquid crystal shows mesophase in a pure form, unlike the lyotropic liquid crystals. The essential requirement for a molecule to be a thermotropic liquid crystal is a structure consisting of a central rigid core and a flexible aliphatic chain. These mesophase observed both on cooling and heating. Now, the mesophages which observed both on heating and cooling the liquid crystal material is called enantiotropic mesophase. However, when the mesophase appear only when cooling from the isotropic liquid, then the phase is called monotropic phase. So again revise this. When the liquid crystal phase or mesophase appear while cooling, then it is called monotropic phase. And when the liquid crystal phases appear both on cooling or on heating, then it is called enantiotropic. Now the transition between various liquid crystal mesophase occurs at very well defined temperature with a very little hysteresis observed between heating and cooling. As you can see here, the crystal can be directly go to isotropic liquid or it can go to pneumatic phase, it can go to smectic phase depending on what material you are using. Pneumatic phase can turn into smectic phase, smectic can turn into pneumatic phase, and then pneumatic can turn into isotropic phase when heating. So different phases appear in different materials. Not the single material can show all the phases and not all the materials can show same kind of phases. On the another side, the lyotropic liquid crystals are exhibited by the molecules when they are mixed with a solvent of some kind. As you can see here, they are free amphiphilic molecules, and when they are mixed in a solvent, then they form a arrangement and then makes these kind of structure. As you can see here, hexagonal phase, lamellar phase, and then there is inverted phase also at higher concentration. So these lyotropic liquid crystals usually consist of amphiphilic molecules that have a hydrophobic group at one end and hydrophilic group at the another end, and most of the time the solvent is water. So the phase transition in these lyotropic liquid crystals occurs from one phase to another phase by varying the solvent concentration, which is these free amphiphils. So as you increase the concentration, the arrangement of the molecules changes and they shows different liquid crystal phases. The common lyotropic liquid crystal phases are missile phases here and lamellar phases here, and they are very important in the biology. So this is it in this lecture. In the next lecture I will start with the different phases of liquid crystals, what are their arrangement, what are their properties. Till then you revise from this lecture